Howard Stern regularly features pornography on his show, and for this he was the second highest paid celebrity in the world in 2007. Hugh Hefner's life with his blonde, young and embarrassingly naive girlfriends is the topic of the hugely successful show The Girls Next Door on E! Entertainment. Retired mega porn star Jenna Jameson has written a best-selling book. Miley Cyrus, the former Disney star who is a role model to young girls everywhere, is photographed for Elle magazine, sprawled on a table wearing S&M gear, and students at Yale University invite pornographers to give talks on campus. I could go on, but these examples illustrate how pornography has seeped into our everyday world and is fast becoming such a normal part of our lives that it barely warrants a mention. A key sign that pornography is now deeply embedded in our culture is the way it has become synonymous with sex, to such a point that to criticize pornography is to get slapped with the label anti-sex. But sex in pornography is a carefully documented and orchestrated set of images, not a mere reflection of reality. Porn sex is a sex that is debased, dehumanized, formulaic and generic. A sex based not on connection, play or intimacy, but one that is the result of an industrial product created by mostly men who get excited not by bodily contact but by profits. Understanding that porn is an industry means that it needs to be seen as a business whose product evolves within specific economic logic. This is a business with considerable political clout, with the capacity to lobby politicians, engage in expensive legal battles and use public relations to influence public debate. Like the tobacco industry, this is not a simple matter of consumer choice. Rather, the business is increasingly able to deploy a sophisticated and well-resourced marketing machine, not just to push its wares, but also to cast it in a good light. When I talk about pornography, I'm often asked, why am I getting so upset by pictures of naked women? Well, traditional Playboy-style images were bad enough with their sexism, but anyone who is familiar with contemporary pornography knows that the days of naked women wearing coy smiles and not much else have long gone. Internet pornography today is filled with body-punishing sex, where a woman is penetrated in every orifice by any number of men at the same time. As they pound away at her body, they call her vile, hateful names such as filthy whore, dirty slut, cum dumpster, and worse, as a way to compound the degradation. Nothing is too painful or debasing for these women, since according to pornography, they love it. In the porn world, women are never concerned with pregnancy, STDs, or damage to the body. They seem comfortable with the idea that their sex partners view their sexuality as something dirty, as in dirty slut or filthy whore. This is an uncomplicated world, where women don't need equal pay, healthcare, daycare, retirement plans, good schools for their children, or safe housing. It is a world filled with one-dimensional women who are nothing more than a collection of holes. The titles of the movies and the websites say it all. Anally ripped whores, gag me then F me, F the babysitter, gag on my cock, first time with daddy, brutal blowjobs, and so on. If you go to Qvakfvker.com, you will see a 20-second clip of a scene with a young woman they call Scarlett. To give you a sense of the content of today's porn, I will describe the clip. Scarlett is blonde, dressed in Victoria's Secret type underwear, and looks resigned to having a vice-like contraption digging into her neck and head. The 20-second clip opens with Scarlett sitting on a toilet having a penis thrust down her throat, while the man attached to the penis pulls her head back and forward using the handles on the vice. He drags her off the toilet and onto her knees, where he continues to thrust his penis. You watch Scarlett from above begin to gag, eyes bulging as she tries to pull away to breathe. The man pulls the vice towards his penis with greater force so she can't breathe and gags. All of this is going on as he's screaming obscenities at her. On one site advertising the movie Anally Ripped Whores, the text reads, quote, "We at Pour Your Filth know exactly what you want and we're giving it to you. Chicks being ass fucked till their sphincters are pink, puffy and totally blown out. Adult diapers just might be installed for these whores when their work is done." It is important to stress that this is an issue not of artistic expression versus sexual repression. Pornography is the commercial documentation of assault played out on real women's bodies who, like you and me, have real physical limits. Even the industry themselves has said that shooting hardcore today is, quote, difficult and demanding. The Adult Industry Medical Healthcare Foundation, a non-profit organisation that serves the sex industry, states that women in pornography are at risk for chlamydia and gonorrhea of the throat, the eye and or anus, hepatitis B and vaginal and anal tears. Pornography, like all media forms, tells stories about the world. but the stories it tells are of the most intimate nature. It tells men that women exist solely for male use and abuse, and that they like to be debased and are willing at any time and any place to submit to men's sexual demands. It tells men that they have a right of total and complete access to women's bodies, that they as men lack empathy and humanity, and that they have no sexual integrity. To be a real man in pornography is to violate sexual boundaries and borders, and to see sex as making hate to a woman's body. Blood drive, intimacy, connection and emotion, porn sex is reduced to a technical, plasticized, formulaic, generic act that men do to women as a way to demonstrate the power they have over them. To argue, as the pornographers do, that pornography has no effect on its consumers is to ignore decades of research that explore how media images shape our cognition and behaviour. To suggest that a man or boy can walk away from pornography unchanged is to ignore how we, as social beings, build our sexual identities, norms and values from the images and messages that pervade our culture. Media images help construct our mental map of the world and the way we make sense of our place in it. Today, pornography is a major form of sex education for boys, and as it continues to seep into mainstream media, for girls as well. One area of controversy is the question of whether pornography causes rape, and I'm not going to discuss that because Mary Ann did. So what I'm going to do is tell you what I have found in my own studies. I have found that pornography makes men want to emulate the sex they see in it. It makes them think that women enjoy porn sex. It makes them feel like sexual losers because they can't perform like the men in pornography. It makes them angry at the women in their lives who refuse to perform porn sex. It makes them less interested in real human beings and more interested in using pornography. It gets in the way of connection when they're having sex with an actual human being. And it cultivates a taste for harder and harder pornography since they become desensitized and bored. Indeed, it is this last finding that is most alarming, since it speaks to the need to keep increasing the level of cruelty against women as a way to keep consumers interested. As one porn producer told Adult Video News, the trade journal of the industry, quote, "People want more. Make it hard. Make it more nasty. Make it more relentless." In one of the few studies on the content of contemporary pornography, it was found that the majority of scenes from 50 of the top-rented movies contain both physical and verbal abuse targeted towards the female performer. Physical aggression, which included spanking, open hand slapping and gagging, occurred in over 88% of scenes, whilst expressions of verbal aggression, calling the woman names such as bitch or slut, were found in 48% of the scenes. The researchers conclude, if we combine both physical and verbal aggression, our findings indicate that nearly 90% of scenes contained at least one aggressive act. While pornography is without question a form of violence against women in its production and its consumption, we also need to see it as a form of violence against boys. To expose boys to images of sexual cruelty is to rob them of their right to develop sexually in ways that are authentically and developmentally appropriate. I want to say that as someone who has studied the pornography industry for over 20 years, I cannot believe how brutal it has become this quickly. We are now in the midst of a massive social experiment, as no other generation has been so bombarded with so much pornography. We have had our sexuality and indeed our culture hijacked by a predatory industry that does not promote our sexual freedom, but rather limits and constrains our imaginations and desires. As pornography increasingly becomes part of our sexual landscape, we limit our capacity for sexual intimacy and love. If we believe that as a culture we deserve more than what the pornographers offer, then we must begin to roll up our sleeves and get back to work and wrestle back that which is rightfully ours. Thank you.